How's it going? Welcome back to part 2 of the mini Velo build. If you haven't watched part 1, I suggest going back and watching that. In part 1 we weld in the dropouts, fit the bosses to the frame and add disc tabs. In part 1 I said that I was going to be sending the frame off for shot blasting and powder coating, but after being messed around by a few local companies, I decided to go for a DIY paint job, which was actually a lot cheaper and in my opinion looks a lot better. This video was meant to be split into part 2 and part 3, but I just combined them and made one long video. Okay, so let's get into it.
First, the frame was stripped to bare metal, and then 3 coats of epoxy primer applied. Coarse silver was then applied. This is what will make the metallic pop through the candy. In order to make the crystal effect, we're going to add a 1:1 ratio of urea prils with boiling distilled water. I liberally sprayed the frame with the mixture, letting it dry and the crystals to develop. After the crystals had developed, I gave it a light coat of satin black, cleaned it with a Scotch-Brite and water. high tensile steel, I want to give it a fighting chance against the rust. So I have some of this liner guards kicking about from previous projects. So what I'm going to be doing is just injecting the tube in with a syringe and coating all the insides of the tubes. The bike won't see too much wet weather anyway, but it's just there for extra insurance. The headset tool that I have was too short for the frame's massive head tube, so I had to go old school on it with a block of 2x4 and a hammer. Here are some 3D printed cable guides that I designed and printed. On the frame, I drilled the chainstays with a 2.5 drill bit and then tapped them to M3. As you can see, they hold the cable guides to the frame neatly. The issue I had in the build was with the shifter. I use these Sunrace friction shifters on all of my bikes. They feel good, they're cheap, they're reliable. The issue I have is it's a Shimano pull ratio, which is I think 1:7 pull ratio, where the microshift components have a proprietary pull ratio of I think 1:1. The issue was that I couldn't get all my gears, so I had to purchase one of these microshift trigger shifters. It was cheap enough. I do prefer the feel of a friction shifter rather than a trigger shifter, but needs must, and the price was reasonable. Okay, it's finished. So let's get it off the stand and out into the world. First sunny weekend of spring, and the kids have been waiting patiently to get out and explore the local woods. Perfect excuse to test out the bike. wheels are still very wet and muddy, but surprisingly, BMX pool tyres had enough grip to get over the slippery roots and rocks. Although it's not a fast ride today, just a little cruise with the kids. The short wheelbase feels great and the bike is nicely balanced. I thought having a short stem would make the bike reach too short, but it has been great. The bars are really wide, I'm sure they're around 800mm, which makes the bike feel more stable. The 42 Tough front chain ring with the 38 Tough rear cassette has made climbing hills super easy. I'm not super fit, but I'm sure I can climb faster on this than any of my bikes. Talking of other bikes, it's likely they will sit in the garage for a while, as this is going to be my go-to bike for the foreseeable. I'll likely build up another wheel set with some knobbly tyres that I can swap out if I'm going on some more adventurous rides. I'm incredibly happy with how it looks and rides. I can't recommend enough that you get a mini Velo. If you're on the fence about getting one, go ahead and do it. So, how much did the bike cost? The total cost came in at £760. I know this is a budget build video, and a lot of you might say, that isn't budget, that's a lot of money. And you're right, £700 is a lot of money. But compared to some frame sets costing that figure alone, I think the price was reasonable. I went for the most cost-friendly parts I could find, with a lot of parts being bought from AliExpress, with the intention of upgrading them to better parts in the future. But if they work long term, chances are they won't get replaced. You could build this frame with a Sturmey Archer rear hub, some rim brakes, and second-hand parts easily for a fraction of this build. I'm looking forward to taking this bike on some overnight trips and visiting more trails and locations around the UK over the next few years. I hope you've enjoyed watching me build this bike, and I hope that you return to watch more videos I put out in the future. If you see me out and about, feel free to say hi. Finally, leave a like or comment, subscribe if you fancy it, and take it easy, and I'll see you the next time.